August 15, 1995, a nationwide manhunt ends in a Raleigh, North Carolina apartment complex. Federal agents surround the building, weapons drawn. Their target? Not a terrorist, not a serial killer, a hacker. Kevin Mitnick, age 31, is arrested without incident. He's been on the run for 2.5 years, living under fake identities, always one step ahead of the FBI. But this isn't a story about the arrest. This is a story about how a kid from Los Angeles became the most wanted cybercriminal in America without ever writing a virus, without ever causing physical harm, and without ever stealing a single dollar. This is the story of the world's most notorious social engineer. Los Angeles, 1970s. Kevin Mitnick grows up in a broken home, raised by a single mother in the San Fernando Valley. He's overweight, awkward, lonely, but he discovers something that changes everything. Magic. Not the kind with wands and spells, but close-up magic. Sleight of hand. Misdirection. Kevin becomes obsessed with it. He learns that magic isn't about the trick itself. It's about controlling what people see, what they believe, what they trust. This lesson will define his life. At 13, Kevin discovers something even more fascinating than magic: the telephone system. In the 1970s, phone freaks, as they were called, explored the vulnerabilities in telecommunications networks. They'd use devices like blue boxes to manipulate phone switches, making free long-distance calls, rerouting lines, accessing restricted numbers. Kevin is captivated. He realizes the phone system is just like magic. It's all about knowing the secret, about understanding the system better than the people who built it. But Kevin takes it further. He doesn't just want to make free calls. He wants to understand everything. He begins social engineering, the art of manipulating people into divulging confidential information. He'd call telephone company employees, pretending to be a supervisor, a technician, a colleague. He'd use technical jargon he'd memorized, creating an illusion of authority. And it worked. People gave him passwords, access codes, internal documents. Not because he hacked their computers, but because he hacked their trust. By his late teens, Kevin is breaking into computer systems. But his method is unique. While other hackers are writing sophisticated code to exploit software vulnerabilities, Kevin is picking up the phone. He'd call a company's help desk, pretending to be an employee who'd forgotten their password. He'd research the company beforehand, learning employee names, department structures, internal procedures. He'd sound stressed, apologetic, in a hurry. And almost every time, they'd reset the password, just like that. No code required, just a voice and a story. In 1981, at age 17, Kevin and his friends physically break into a Pacific Bell telephone switching center. They steal technical manuals, nothing more. But to Kevin, these manuals are treasure. They contain the secrets of how the system works, the architecture, the protocols, the vulnerabilities. He's caught and convicted, juvenile detention. But it doesn't stop him. If anything, it fuels his obsession. Throughout the 1980s, Kevin's targets grow more ambitious. He breaks into Digital Equipment Corporation's network and copies their software. He's caught again in 1988 and sentenced to a year in prison. When he's released, he's required to seek counseling. His therapist diagnoses him with an addiction to hacking. And perhaps that's accurate, because even after prison, even after the consequences, Kevin can't stop. December 1992, Kevin violates his parole by hacking into Pacific Bell voicemail systems. A warrant is issued for his arrest, and Kevin Mitnick disappears. For the next 2.5 years, he becomes a ghost. He lives under fake identities. Brian Merrill, Eric Weiss, names borrowed from famous magicians. He dyes his hair, grows a beard, wears disguises. He moves constantly. Seattle, Denver, Las Vegas, Raleigh. He pays for everything in cash. He uses cloned cell phones that are nearly impossible to trace. He's paranoid, always looking over his shoulder, convinced the FBI is monitoring everyone around him. But here's the thing. Even while on the run, Kevin keeps hacking. He can't help himself. He breaks into Motorola, Nokia, Sun Microsystems, Novell. He intercepts emails. He steals source code. He clones cell phones to stay invisible. And most audaciously, he wiretaps the FBI agents hunting him. He listens to their voicemails, reads their emails, knows their tactics. It's the ultimate game of cat and mouse, except the mouse knows everything the cat is planning. Kevin's method remains consistent. Social engineering. He'd call a company's IT department, claiming to be a new employee who needed system access. He'd reference real employees, real departments, creating an air of legitimacy. He'd be friendly, charming even, making the person on the other end want to help him. And they would. Because humans are the weakest link in any security system. You can have the most sophisticated firewalls, the most complex encryption. But if someone with a friendly voice can convince your employee to hand over their login credentials, none of it matters. If you're finding this story as fascinating as we did while researching it, please subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell. We're dedicated to bringing you more untold stories of the people who change technology, for better or worse. Your subscription helps us continue investigating and sharing these incredible true stories. Now, back to Kevin's story, and the hacker who would ultimately bring him down. Everything changes when Kevin makes a mistake. He targets the wrong person. Tsutomu Shimomura, a computational physicist and cybersecurity expert at the San Diego Supercomputer Center. On Christmas Day, 1994, Kevin breaks into Shimomura's home computer system. He steals security software, research files, personal emails. It's a violation not just of a system, but of someone's private life. And Shimomura takes it personally. Tsutomu Shimomura is brilliant, methodical, and now highly motivated. He begins tracking Kevin obsessively, using sophisticated cellular frequency monitoring equipment. He works with the FBI, with telephone companies, with journalists. He analyzes Kevin's cloned cell phone signals, triangulating his location each time Kevin makes a call. It's a hunt powered by wounded pride and technical genius. By early 1995, they're closing in. They've narrowed Kevin's location to Raleigh, North Carolina. Shimomura and FBI agents drive through the city with frequency scanners, detecting the unique signature of Kevin's cloned cell phone. They pinpoint it to an apartment complex. And on February 15, 1995, they knock on Kevin's door. The ghost in the wires has been caught. Kevin is charged with computer and wire fraud. But here's where the story becomes controversial. Because of the nature of his crimes, because of the fear and mystique surrounding hacking in the mid-1990s, Kevin is treated not as a white-collar criminal, but as a dangerous threat. He's held without bail for 4.5 years before trial. He's kept in solitary confinement. He's denied access to a telephone, the very tool of his crimes, under the bizarre justification that he could somehow launch nuclear missiles by whistling into a phone. It's absurd, but it reflects the era's paranoia about hackers. In 1999, Kevin pleads guilty to 7 counts of fraud and computer-related crimes. He's sentenced to 46 months in prison, with credit for time served. He's released in January 2000, with strict probation conditions. No access to computers or the internet for 3 years. For Kevin Mitnick, it's like telling a writer, they can't use words. But here's what makes Kevin's story truly fascinating: what he actually stole and why. Kevin never hacked for money. He never sold the source code he stole. He never committed identity theft or drained bank accounts. He hacked for the intellectual challenge, for the thrill, for the pure satisfaction of knowing he could. He collected access like some people collect stamps. The information itself was the prize, the proof that he'd beaten the system. His victims, companies like Sun Microsystems and Motorola, claimed losses in the millions. But those figures were always disputed. Much of what Kevin stole, source code and software, was never distributed or used maliciously. The damage was more about the violation, the exposure of vulnerabilities, the embarrassment that their security had been breached by one person with a phone and a gift for conversation. Kevin's story raises profound questions about cybersecurity that remain relevant today. We spend billions on technical defenses, firewalls, encryption, intrusion detection systems, multi-factor authentication. But the human element, the person who answers the phone or clicks the email link, remains the greatest vulnerability. Kevin proved that you don't need to be a programming genius to breach the most sophisticated systems. You just need to understand people, their habits, their trust, their desire to be helpful. Social engineering hasn't disappeared. If anything, it's evolved. Modern phishing attacks, where emails are crafted to look like they're from trusted sources, are direct descendants of Kevin's techniques. Tech support scams, where callers pretend to be from Microsoft or Apple, use the same playbook Kevin pioneered. The tools have changed, the technology has advanced, but the fundamental weakness, human psychology, remains constant. After his release, Kevin transformed himself. He became a security consultant, ironically helping the same types of companies he once infiltrated. He wrote books about his experiences, The Art of Deception and The Art of Intrusion, which became essential reading in cybersecurity circles. He gave speeches, conducted penetration testing, demonstrated social engineering techniques to corporations who paid him to expose their vulnerabilities. The hacker became the defender. Kevin Mitnick passed away on July 16, 2023, at age 59, after a battle with pancreatic cancer. His death marked the end of an era, the closing of a chapter in hacking history. But his legacy endures. He's remembered not as a villain, but as a complex figure who exposed the fragility of our trust-based systems. The debate about Kevin Mitnick continues. Was he a criminal who deserved his punishment? Was he unfairly demonized by a legal system that didn't understand technology? Was his treatment, especially the years of pre-trial detention, a violation of his rights? There are no simple answers. What's undeniable is that Kevin changed how we think about security. He demonstrated that the most sophisticated lock in the world is useless if someone can convince you to hand over the key. In the end, Kevin Mitnick's story is a reminder that security isn't just about technology. It's about people, about awareness, about understanding that the friendly voice on the phone might not be who they claim. It's about recognizing that trust, while essential for society to function, must be balanced with verification. It's about accepting that in our interconnected world, we're all vulnerable, not necessarily to code, but to the oldest hack of all, deception. Kevin once said, "I could pose as an employee to their IT department, and within a matter of minutes, I'm in their network." That was his gift and his curse. He saw through the facade of security to the human vulnerabilities beneath. And in doing so, he became both the most wanted hacker in America and ultimately one of the most influential voices in cybersecurity. The ghost in the wires may be gone, but the lessons he taught us remain. In a world where our lives are increasingly digital, where our data, our privacy, our security depend on systems we barely understand, Kevin Mitnick's story is more relevant than ever. Because he proved that the greatest threat to our security isn't out there in cyberspace. It's in here, in the choices we make, the trust we give, the questions we forget to ask. This is the story of Kevin Mitnick, the hacker who didn't need code to take control, just your trust. And in many ways, that's far more frightening and far more human than any virus ever could be.